February 14th, 2022. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 251 of You Can Bet On That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet On That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So, the big news coming out of Las Vegas is Nevada has lifted their mask mandate. It was kind of sudden. You know, there was no build-up to it. It was just like, okay, it's over. I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that the Super Bowl coming up and, you know, they want people to come into town and bet on it.
Right, not have to wear a mask the whole time.
I don't know. Is this speculation? I have no idea if that was behind it, but that could have something to do with it.
That's not usually you. You're not a conspiracy theorist.
No, I'm not. That is unusual for me. Yeah.
That sounds like something I would say. Well, here in San Diego, it's going to be lifted on what, Tuesday?
Yes.
They picked Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday was the day that we're all safe. Monday? Valentine's Day, you still have to wear a mask if you go into a restaurant on Valentine's Day.
All right.
The day after my parents' anniversary, it's lifted.
I don't know. Having protection on Valentine's Day seems like a good idea. So, when we were up at the casino, there really wasn't a mask mandate at the casino, right? You know, it was still kind of a recommendation.
Sovereign land.
But a lot of people are still wearing, I'd say most people are wearing masks.
My daughter said that if they lifted at school, my oldest daughter, she said she'd still wear hers for a while. And probably there will be kids who do. Yeah. I mean, you know, she won't be just the only one.
Well, I've said it before, you know, I haven't had a cold in 2 years.
Yeah, right. Right. It is nice.
But anyway, for those who are thinking, oh, Vegas, I don't want to spend time in a casino and have to wear a mask. All right, well, you're in luck. So
it's lifted for now.
For right now.
For right now.
Once the Super Bowl's over, maybe they'll put it back up.
Then all of a sudden it'll be the, what is it? Delta Omicron or Omicron something or other.
It'll be something,
We'll merge the two or something.
Yeah, it'll be the Omega.
What is it? Omicron Omega or Omega Omicron?
Just make something up. I don't know.
Yeah, just make something up.
Right, the Beelzebub variant.
Why can't we just play craps in peace?
Well, Mike, there's been another gambling-nun story. A story of a nun who embezzled money to gamble.
Seems like every week there's another nun in trouble.
This time it was an 80-year-old former nun who admitted to stealing $835,000 from a Los Angeles elementary school, and a lot of it was lavish kind of vacations and gambling trips.
Yeah.
She was facing up to 40 years in prison. She's 80 years old, so they only sentenced her to a year and a day. I mean, 80 years old in prison, that a year probably is going to feel like 40 years when you're that age. But
with general population too. That's rough.
I wouldn't say this is an epidemic. Of course, these stories make the news, and there are, thousands of other nuns who aren't embezzling money for their gambling habit. But, what is it?
It's the Super Bowl, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it is. She wanted to make a large wager on the Super Bowl. That's the story they're not telling you. That's my conspiracy theory.
All right. So it all comes down to the Super Bowl is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
She had to get a bet in. She's originally from Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could get one more bet in, and then she was arrested. I don't know. The timeline doesn't work for me, Mike.
Yeah.
She was just sentenced. I don't know. This timeline doesn't seem to work for me, Mike. All right. Well, how about a good story? How about a happy story?
Okay.
All right. So on January 8th, Arizona resident Robert Taylor was playing a slot machine at TI in Las Vegas, and he hit a jackpot for $229,000. But because of what they're calling a communications error, that's the words they use. So I don't know if that's electronic or, a couple of slot attendants did something like that. A communication error, the machine didn't indicate that he had won the jackpot. It didn't even indicate it to the staff at TI that he had won. So once the error was discovered, the Gambling Control Board set out to find Mr. Taylor to let him know that he had won. And that's exactly what they did. And now from their release, they said the investigation to find Taylor involved reviewing multiple hours of surveillance video, interviewing witnesses, reviewing electronic records, and analyzing rideshare information. So I'm guessing he didn't use his player's card because it seems like that would be an easy way to track him down, unless that was part of the malfunction too, was that, it wasn't reading his card right,
him,
or something like that. But they did track him down, and so, he's heading in to get his jackpot. So it's a good story.
It's kind of a good story. The interesting part to me was further in the article when they reported that it was a nun walking by the machine who realized he had won.
Okay.
He wasn't paying enough attention. The nun saw it and immediately called up to the surveillance video. I think that guy should have won.
I missed that part of the article. I'm glad you filled that in at the end there, and that it's good news for nuns.
Good news for nuns. Some redemption for the nunnery.
Now, I was thinking about this, Mike. Every slot machine, every video poker machine has a sign on it that says, malfunction voids all pays and plays.
Right. Well, this sounds like a malfunction.
Maybe it was but they're saying communications error. And maybe there's a difference when it comes, because I think it was a progressive jackpot.
Oh,
right. And there might be different laws regarding that.
Yeah.
But, instead of just falling back on that, they actually tried to track him down. And, when it comes to these progressive jackpots, too, it's not like if nobody wins it, TI gets to keep it. It's the thing that eventually gets won.
Right. Somebody wins. Yeah. So it's in their best interest. Yeah. Now, in going along with our NFL theme day, since today is the Super Bowl.
That is, we're recording on Super Bowl Sunday.
I would like to say that, how would you feel if someone just showed up at your door afterwards and said, hey, you just won $229,000 you didn't know about. How does that feel?
Okay, honestly, I'd be very skeptical and think it was a scam.
It's a scam,
yeah,
right.
Sure.
Right, it's just like in the Super Bowl when at the end of the game they go up to one of the winning players, the guy who's maybe going to be MVP, and say, you just won the Super Bowl, how does it feel?
Yeah.
It's the stupidest question ever asked to anyone ever.
Wow.
Isn't it true?
Well,
you just won, how does it feel? I don't know. I don't know that we played that well.
Yeah.
You never hear that.
No, you don't. That'd be refreshing.
It'd be refreshing.
I'm glad we won, but what a terrible game.
I'm glad we won, but our offensive line sucked. They were bad. I got sacked about 12 times.
All right. I'll splice something together where first it's the reporter saying, how do you feel?
Yeah.
And then I'll put in some comment like, well, we really stunk up the joint or something to that
There
effect.
You go. It's equivalent to, somebody showing up your door and saying, you just won $229,000. How does that feel?
Yeah, but I don't think of the Super Bowl. They say, I think this is a scam.
Yeah.
I don't think they feel that way when they've just played the Super Bowl. That's right.
This was rigged.
What? Super Bowl? I don't think so. All right. Hey, we got a message from listener David who came across a new Pai Gow poker game, basically a face-up Pai Gow poker game. He saw it at the Grand Sierra Resort in Reno. And like traditional face-up Pai Gow poker, it's a non-commission game, right? Where you get to see the dealer's cards up front.
The catch.
Yeah, so the catch in regular face-up Pai Gow poker is that if the dealer has ace high, all hands are a push.
Right.
And that's how they maintain a house edge, right?
Yeah.
In this version, all players lose if the dealer has a pair of jacks.
Only.
Well, what it says in the literature, and David sent it to me, was if the dealer has two or more jacks, the Pai Gow wager loses.
Oh, so even if he split them.
That's what I'm thinking, yes. Yeah. Now, it wasn't very specific, and David wasn't sure. But yeah, it sounds like, in your example, let's say you have a straight. Let's say you have like a jack-high straight with an ace-jack in the two-card hand.
Or a jack-2 in the hand.
Or anything, anything like that, right? Technically, the dealer has a pair of jacks, even though they might not be playing the pair of jacks in the five-card hand.
Right.
The same thing might be true with like a full house. What if you have jacks full of kings? Well, you do have a pair of jacks in the hand.
Right.
So I'm guessing in that case, the player also loses. Even though the game's been out for a year, I could find very little information about it. In fact, the Wizard of Odds hasn't run any kind of analysis on it, so I have no idea what the house edge is. I'm thinking, though, this would be way less popular than the standard face-up Pai Gow because you actually lose these hands. It's
not a push.
Now, I would say that in the long run, you're probably going to lose when the dealer has a pair of jacks more often than you're going to win or push, right? Because he might have a good hand.
Sure.
But for those times where you actually beat the dealer and then you end up losing the hand.
Right.
That's got to sting. I think it's less of a sting when the dealer has ace high in the regular face-up Pai Gow and you push. It's like, another ace high.
Right.
But to actually lose, I think it's more of a
Well,
sting.
it'd be heartbreaking, if you had a pair of aces and you had king, queen on top, and the dealer turns over jacks with a 10-8 on the top, right?
Yeah.
And you're thinking, great, I won, and no, you lost.
You actually lose,
That would be a lot more devastating, I think.
Well, that might explain why, again, the game came out about this time last year, and we haven't really heard about it till now.
Right.
And there hasn't even been an analysis from the Wizards. So,
well, if you saw that, if there's a table of that and then there's regular Pai Gow right next to it, you just go to regular Pai Gow,
I would,
right?
I would. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. It's always kind of fun to hear about these different variations of these poker
There's no
games,
way I can relate that to the Super Bowl, though. I mean,
can't tie it in at all.
Can't tie that in at all.
All right,
no.
all right. Yeah.
Unless you think about how stupid overtime is.
Oh, well, that's definitely been the case during the playoffs. Hey, it's not as bad as it used to be, where any score at the beginning, even if it was a field goal.
Right, it used to be worse, but.
All right, well, let's move on then. Maybe you can get some kind of Super Bowl content out of this. So, on our last episode, listener David called in talking about a nice cruise that he went on. 2 cruises, actually. One where he took his son, and then one where his intent was to lose all his money so he wouldn't attempt to go back because he had a new baby along the way. And Mike, you were asking, well, what about the dealers? A lot of times on cruise ships...
Right, people have multiple jobs.
Yeah, the employees do 2 different kinds of things. You were wondering, well, what about the dealers? Do they actually have 2 different jobs? So we got a response from David. He said... In answer to your question about casino dealers on cruise ships, they are only dealers. They don't work anywhere else on the ship, much like entertainers and such. Presumably, the reason is that when a dealer has just worked till 3 a.m., they want them to get enough rest before they start again at 4 p.m. so that they're not making mistakes. And he goes on, other crew members do multiple jobs within the same category. So your cocktail waiter in the casino will also serve drinks by the pool. Your cabin steward will also do housekeeping elsewhere, etc. That's the way all cruise ships I've ever been on have been like anyways. It's also worth noting that some cruise lines / corporations completely subcontract their casino. So it's a separate company entirely funding, running, profiting from the casino. I believe that's usually on smaller lines. So that, kind of makes sense. But we did also get an email from listener Jeff who said, Carnival dealers, and this was also, Carnival was the line that David was on as well.
Yeah.
Carnival dealers are always very friendly and always thank a player whether a tip wins or loses. Dealers must have a minimum of, I think, 2 years of experience dealing in a casino before they be hired on a ship. They do cover other areas for their days off. One of our dealers was a waiter at brunch since the ship's tables don't open until noon or so. So a couple different answers there. So
well, it may depend on the length of the cruise.
A lot of factors, sure.
Yeah, stuff like that, other factors.
Yeah.
You would want your dealers to be fresh.
Sure,
of course.
Well,
and you'd want them to have good balance because you're on a ship.
That's right.
Right? So cutting chips and things like that might be difficult. So you don't want a new dealer who's trying to think about, what the payout is while the ship's rocking and rolling.
Right. Well, and Jeff does go, in he's saying that the dealers are only doing other jobs on their days off, as the way he said it, right? As opposed to,
when
2 different shifts during a day. Yeah.
And they may get paid more for that. It might be a thing where, you can deal, but if you want to on your days off do something else, you'd make a little extra money.
Yeah.
So
that could be.
What would you want to do on your days off? When you retire and you're dealing on a cruise ship, what do you want to do on your days off?
I want to play craps.
Yeah.
Oh, Mark, isn't this your day off? Yeah. I want to be on this side of the table now.
Right.
Don't make any mistakes.
You can't do that, Mark. You got to do something else on the ship.
Something else on the ship?
Yeah.
I don't know. Walk around. I don't know. I've never been on a cruise ship. I lie on the deck.
It's an easy answer, Mark.
All right, tell me.
Easy answer.
All right, go ahead.
Hand towels to people on the deck and stuff who are
that's what I do on my days off.
Just hand towels.
So all right. So I want to get this straight. I'm retired,
right?
But I'm dealing craps on a cruise ship,
right?
And on my time off, the best thing for me to do would be to hand out towels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a nice, easy job. And, people love you. Oh, here comes that towel boy.
Yeah. How can I argue with that?
Yeah. No, that's your career. That's what you're going to do.
Oh.
That's your life. That's what you have to look forward to.
We were talking about retirement. I had other plans, but I guess that's what it's going to be. Huh?
Towel boy.
Towel boy. What are you looking forward to most in retirement? Handing out towels?
Towels.
It'd be towel boy.
Just like the towel boy in the NFL who, when you come to the sidelines, they hand you the towel.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be one of those people that squeezes Gatorade into somebody else's
without
mouth.
touching the...
Yeah.
That's
just
right.
Squeeze it.
Oh, man.
Put like hot sauce in there. All kinds of stuff.
I'll be 90 years old and doing it.
Yeah.
And I'll be deliberately putting in hot sauce, and they'll just thinking, oh, Mark's 90. He didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, the Bengals had to take a timeout because one of their players evidently got a mouthful of hot sauce.
Well, they're going to want that timeout come the end of the game. That's unfortunate.
That's unfortunate. Can't blame that towel boy, though.
Now he's 90.
He's 90. Took him 10 minutes to get out there.
Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to our voicemails. First up is Cody.
Hey guys, it's Cody from Alabama. I don't have a current trip report. It's been a while since I've been to a casino due to COVID and work and just really life in general. But on the previous show, when you mentioned the caller that had talked about not getting the vouchers, who's going to have to sit through a timeshare, and then Dr. Mike mentioned when you walk the streets of Vegas, to avoid, the people that come up to you to ask for things. It reminded me of a trip back in the summer of 2008. So I went with two of my friends, and I had been to Vegas once before. The other two guys that I was with had never been before. We were all in our early 20s at the time. I'd kind of already learned to avoid people on the street as much as possible in Las Vegas because there was always something to why they would come up and approach you to begin with. But anyway, we had gotten off the plane maybe 30 minutes before. And if you're familiar with Vegas or what Vegas looked like in 2008 anyway, if you think about the area between walking back towards the Strip, leaving the Hooters casino, which is where we were staying at the time, we're walking back up towards the Strip, and a man and another guy, they both approach us, and they are offering the old shell game, like, put the ping pong ball under the shell and, they'll rearrange it or whatever. And they're trying to do, some street bets and street gambling. So me and one of the guys that I was with, we just keep walking because obviously, this is a scam, and, we're trying to avoid getting ripped off as soon as we've gotten to Vegas. And we probably walk about 25 or 30 yards up, and we notice that our other friend is not with us, and we turn around. We see the two guys that had approached him with the shell game. They take off running into the bushes, and he's chasing after them because there he is, 30 minutes into his Vegas trip, and he's already been ripped off of $200 because he fell for the shell game. So anyway, it just reminded me of that story, and I wanted to call and share that with you guys. But anyway, enjoy the show.
I play the shell game in Las Vegas, but only in the casino.
In the casino, yeah.
I don't trust the street vendors.
Yeah, they're usually on those bridges.
Yeah.
That cross over, there'll be somebody there, having a little side shell game.
Yeah, a little that, or three-card Monty or something.
Yeah, or something, yeah. I wonder if the police actually do anything about that.
I think they do. It's it's kind of a hit and run kind of a thing, right? They do it as quickly as possible and then move on. They've got shills, kind of working for them too.
Right.
So
when I was in New Orleans, there was a lot of that.
Yeah.
Just on the streets of New Orleans,
Yeah.
And guys coming up saying, I know where you got those shoes. I bet you $10. I know where you got those shoes.
Right.
And then you hear him to some other person say, "Oh, you got them on your feet." That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. I'd much rather have like a 90-year-old grandma with her, 7-year-old great grandson standing next to her, hand me some picture of a girl who wants to, do in-room entertainment.
That's what you'd prefer. So
I actually prefer that than the shell game. It's easier to say no to her than it is to those shell game people.
So a 90-year-old great grandmother and her 7-year-old on the street porn slapping.
Yeah, porn slapping.
You'd prefer that. Well, I guess I'd prefer that. I think I'd prefer nothing at all, but if I had to make a choice.
I like it that you can just walk away from that. You just shake your head and walk on.
Okay.
Those shell game people, they actually work hard to get you to play.
Oh, of course.
And
sure.
try and shame you.
Yeah,
if you're
right.
with a girl, then they, come on, like you're going to be.
You're not man enough.
You're not man enough to play this shell
this
game.
Scam.
Just like the NFL. Oh, you're not man enough to play offensive line.
Oh, yeah, you brought it around again. Good for you. All right. Next up is Connor.
Hey, guys. Kind of a different call. No trip report, but I did want to let you guys in on a little game that me and my friends play. So we call it 5 dice. I'm not sure what the actual name is, but however many people are playing, each person picks up a die, and the lowest number goes last. It's beneficial to go last. So the game works like this. Whoever is going first rolls 5 dice. Every number counts as what it is except for the 3. The 3 counts as 0. And you have to take at least 1 die every time you roll. So you roll 5 dice. Say you roll a 3, you take that one, you have 0. The goal of the game is to have the lowest number total. And we play by everyone puts $1 in, everyone rolls. And the number to beat is a 3. And the last person who rolls, they roll a 3 as well. It's a push, everyone throws in another $1, and it goes back around again. I hope that makes sense. It's a pretty fun game if you're just sitting around with your buddies. And let me know what you think.
All right, Mike, you got it?
Yep, I got it.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the rules on this, flesh it out a little bit more. Okay, so the game, the popular names for this game is Threes Away. Threes Away. And the idea behind it is that you roll 5 dice, everybody gets to roll 5 dice, and whoever ends up with the lowest total wins the pot.
Right.
Right. So at the beginning of each round, everybody throws in a predetermined amount, $1, $2, whatever you decide.
Right.
And then what he was talking about at the beginning there was you determine who's going to act last. Think of it as being on the button in a poker hand, right?
Right.
Acting last, you actually have an advantage acting last. So however you want to determine who acts last, maybe everybody rolls 1 die and whoever ends up with the lowest or the highest, whatever. That determines who acts last. And then moving forward, maybe you go around counterclockwise when you play the game, and each round the person who acts last rotates also. So everybody gets a chance to act last. So everybody gets a chance to roll 5 dice. Every time you roll, you have to hold back at least 1. You can do more than 1, but at least 1 of the dice that was rolled. And then you can roll the remainder. Okay? Like he said, the value of the dice, their face value, except for 3s, which are worth 0, right?
Right.
So if you're the first person and you roll, 3, 3, 6, 5, 4. Well, you're going to keep those 2 3s.
Right.
Kind of like in Yahtzee where you put it aside, right? You're going to keep those 2 3s and then roll the remaining ones, right?
Right.
And you have to hold back at least 1 die every
time.
So in this example, let's say you roll the 3 remaining dice and it comes up 6, 6, 6.
Right.
Well, you have to hold on to one of those 6s, right? You have to do at least 1. And then let's say for the final roll, it comes up 3, 1. Well, maybe you keep both of those. You certainly keep the 3.
Right.
And the chances of, rolling, maybe you keep that 1, right? You add them all up. So in this example I came up with, your total would be 7. You have 3 3s, which is 0. And a 6 and a 1, so it's 7, right?
Yeah.
So you're done. Then the 5 dice go to the next person.
He does the same thing.
He does the exact same thing, having the advantage of knowing that he at least has to beat a 7
to
continue.
Right.
So
and that's why being last is so important.
Right.
You know what
you
have
know
to
what
beat.
you have to beat. Right.
Right.
And then that's it. You know, and you move forward. It's actually a very popular dice gambling game.
Right.
Right.
We played a game when I was in school. It had a 2-word name. The first word was rat.
Okay.
The second word started with an F and ended with a K.
Yeah.
And
fire truck, rat fire truck.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
We would all put in a buck. It was a card game. One of the guys had made it up.
Okay.
And I'm not going to go into it. It was pretty complicated, but it was a card game. We played a lot of that in school. And the funny thing is so there was 100 of us in my class. This is in postgraduate school. We would have these tests where you're in a room and there'd be 100 of us and the test would be 3-4 hours long.
Yeah.
And so somewhere, an hour into it, one of the guys would say, how about a game of rat? F. And we would stop, 5 or 6 of us that
wait a minute.
to play it.
Wait a minute. Back up here. You're taking a test?
Yes, we're taking
But
it.
the professor's like at the front of the class?
Right. As long as you're not cheating, we'd go off to the side and play one round of.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of such a thing.
And we'd sit there and, and the funny thing is, it's kind of a round robin thing, and you played until it was down to 2 people.
Oh,
and then,
okay. They're eliminated.
And then, then one guy was out, and the last guy remaining gets the pot.
Okay, yeah.
And so every time one of us got out, we would scream as loud as we could, "I'm out!" And the whole class would stop. And, the professors never had a problem with it. Some of the other classmates were not happy.
I was going to say, you're taking a test and somebody's, I'm out, and laughing. And
we were all pretty good. And all of us who played, we really didn't need the whole 4 hours for the test, right? So we would take our time.
I can't believe I've never heard this story.
Yeah. This made me think of it.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that's great.
It was so much fun. And we got the biggest kick out of the other people who, there's always some uptight people.
Yeah, right, sure.
Who would be so uptight about this test. We were like, oh, God, you got 4 hours. You can do this in 2.5. I mean, you got plenty of time.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I'd probably complain if I...
It was a week.
Of course, I'd actually be playing the game.
Yeah,
I wouldn't complain.
No,
I'd
you would be playing the game.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Well, anyway, Connor did follow up with another rule that they have, at least in their game, and that is if anybody rolls all 5 of the same number, like a Yahtzee, they automatically win the pot.
Oh,
you don't have to continue with the game. It's like an automatic winner.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So.
Hard to do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So give it a try. 3's away. And you can look online, too. There are a lot of different variations in the way people play. So
people all during halftime at the Super Bowl, this show sucks. Let's play some 3's away.
I may do that today. Now that you mention it, I'm going to take some dice over as we watch the game. So. All right. Next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. It's Adam from St. Louis. First-time caller. I've been binging all of your episodes here. I went to Vegas for the first time last year. No crazy stories to tell. I got wiped out in craps for the first time I went, of course. But I loved Up Pai Gow. And it's because you guys have talked about it so much, and I love the house edge. And I hadn't really had any stories until now. So I was at a local casino tonight, and I found maybe like an advantage play of some kind. I can't even imagine what the player advantage here would be. But so we were setting our hands, and I was looking over to the guy next to me, and I noticed that he fouled his hand. He put a higher-ranking hand in his 2-card hand versus his 5-card hand. And the dealer just didn't notice. They just pushed as normal, and so he was able to, not lose his wager there. And then like 5 minutes later, I saw him do it again, and I just kind of looked over, and he just like shrugged back at me. And so I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can give this a go. And so I was terribly nervous the whole time. But for the next like half an hour, we just couldn't lose. I mean, it probably only happened 4 or 5 times we were able to push when we probably should have lost. So that's my only advantage play. I don't have a ton of stories. I absolutely love the podcast. You guys are really fantastic. And I hope to see you guys out in Vegas at some point here in the future. Thanks so much.
Yeah, we've heard of this advantage play. I don't know if we mentioned it on the show, but when we first heard about it, the situation was the dealer was actually correcting people who had played their hand correctly and oh no, you should have played it this way, resulting in a foul, but changing the outcome of the game. So that probably wasn't the case here, but
this was probably a case of a dealer who was just not a good dealer and just looked at the top hand.
Yeah,
you've got, ace queen up there. You push.
Right. Just it was going too fast.
Even though you got king high in the bottom.
This is interesting because we've talked in the past about, how do you deal with dealer mistakes, right? And, do you call attention to it? Do you not? That kind of a thing. And this is a little bit of a different layer because most of the cases we talk about was, he paid me $40 instead of $35 on my 6, and that was it. But here's a situation where a player can actually do something to instigate a dealer mistake. Right. It's an action by the player that, I think the dealer's going to make a mistake if I do this. Right.
So and by fouling their hand, they're not really cheating.
That's, what is cheating,
it's up to it's up to the dealer to say, oh, you fouled your hand here.
Yeah.
You can't set it that way.
Yeah. And that's not to say you couldn't be trespassed from a play, if they see you consistently doing something like that. So it's one of those dealer mistakes that maybe is a little riskier and maybe, make your own judgment from an ethical standpoint as to what it does. But
what if
it's definitely an advantage play.
What if you fouled your hand intentionally because you had a bad hand?
Okay.
But it turned out if you had played it properly, you would have won because they had a worse hand.
All right. Well,
and the dealer said, "Oh no, you fouled."
No, then you're
lose.
an idiot because this is face up Pai Gow we're talking about. You see the dealer's hand. All right. So
it still happen.
Oh, I agree. One of us could easily do it. I could see it happening, right?
It could easily
you just
happen.
misread your hand. I definitely could see it. But anyway, so watch out for that kind of thing. Yeah, just dealers who maybe they've come. We've talked about this too. If they're coming from maybe a regular Pai Gow game, you see it a lot with blackjack dealers who they've been dealing regular blackjack all day long, and suddenly they move over to free bet blackjack or switch blackjack, right?
Right.
And they forget that a 22 is a push for everybody, right? When they bust with 22, they just forget, right? So that could be some of it too, something to watch out for.
Well, this is, one of those instances where, maybe it's cheating, maybe it's not. It's kind of like the NFL and the Super Bowl. Maybe the refs are in cahoots, maybe they're not. Who knows?
All right. Thanks for tying it in again. I just had to do it. Let's move to the next call, please.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Frank from St. Louis. I have a small trip report with a life lesson and a future trip coming up. My wife and I spent our 35th wedding anniversary in the great state of Maine. We went to the Bangor Casino. I think it's Hollywood sponsored. Went there in the morning. It's not a casino that's open 24 hours, kind of a locals casino. Not much going on there. Only 2 blackjack tables, a couple carnival games and slots. There might have been 100 people there, but even though smoking was allowed, not one smoker in the whole place, which was amazing. I asked about the craps table, and they said closed until further notice. They just have a staffing shortage. The crew was very nice, the ones we played with. But the most important part of this trip was that I had planned some of the activities for our wedding anniversary. And so I let my wife choose what she wanted to do that day, and she said, let's go to the casino, which was amazing because when we were married, she detested, abhorred gambling, and now 35 years later, she's picking that place to go. So those of you that are married, that has a spouse that doesn't like gambling, hang in there. You can wear them down and show them the good side of life.
Wear them down.
We have a future trip coming up to Las Vegas. We're going to try to come back out towards the end of February. Only hit the downtown casino. So if you see any of us walking around on the last Friday of the month downtown as a group, feel free to join us. All are welcome. That will be Friday the 25th. One side note, though, I'm considering myself a medium-sized roller, and even trying to get a free hotel room out there is like pulling teeth. No pun, Dr. Mike. These guys won't give you anything, and it's really sad the way it's gone. Before you could call the casino host and get what you needed, and now they're offering you maybe 20% off. So I hope the circle comes back to the players' favor. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but as always, I enjoy your show, and I'll call you and let you know how our downtown walk went in a couple weeks. Thank you.
Okay, good. Well, good luck. And yeah, you might have better luck downtown, getting comps and benefits, that kind of thing too, right? So,
well, I like his life lesson that if you're persistent, you can wear them down.
Yeah, exactly.
Might take 35 years, but you can wear them down.
When I was getting ready for the show, I was editing some of these calls, and I was playing this one real loud so that Sherry could hear. She was in the kitchen to hear
subliminally
that. So it's like,
put some message into her mind.
Now, in all fairness, she doesn't hate gambling, and she likes going to the casino with me. But
my wife doesn't mind it. She likes going. Yeah. We actually lately have been into playing. It's one of those online free gambling where they give you so many. Well, they give you so many to start, and then if you run out of coins, then you can buy more for $1 or $2. Right. We've never bought any because we've never run out. Yeah. But we play that every night before we go to bed. Well, so what do you play?
Is it just slots? Is it?
Yeah, it's slots.
Okay,
it's slots.
Yeah, it's just slots. Yeah.
But we have, there's a whole slew of different slots, and we have fun, just watching that thing spin around.
Within a year, I'm going to be going up to the casino. You're going to say, no, I'm just going to go with Lynn. We just want to play slots.
Yeah, we're just going to play slots.
I'm going to be at the craps table talking to the dealers. They're just going to be dumbfounded.
Yeah, there's a lot of them I actually found I like. I like watching, the buffaloes. And there's this one where these little kitties come up and you can yell, I got 8 kitties.
Is it kitty glitter? Is that the one? Kitty glitter?
I don't know.
That online it might be something different. So good for you, Dr. Mike.
I just like saying kitty.
Yeah, I do too. Kitty. We got kitties. We got a couple of kitties.
Right.
Where are the kitties?
It's a fun word, really.
All right, last call.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Mike. My name is Ed. I'm first-time caller, long-time listener. Love your podcast. Want to give you a short trip report. I went to Reno over the weekend. Stayed at the Grand Sierra Resort, or GSR. It's a beautiful resort. They had 2 crap tables open. One's a $15 table. The other one's a $25 table. They both have repeater bets. They also installed the roll to win machine, which was a $10 minimum. They also had the bumpers on the surface, which was really funny because the stick person working there, they're all new. Couldn't push the dice without having them flip over all over the place. The roll to win machine was 5-time odds. They also have bubble craps there, which is 2-time odds and $1 minimum. This was the first weekend they put the roll to win machine in. So even though I was playing, a lot of the staff came over to ask me how I liked it and what I thought of it. And they were commenting how they saw some 20-count rollers. And I was amused because I actually play in Northern California, where I've seen 40s and 50s, and I even heard a story about 104 rollers. So I guess GSR is in for a little surprise. I also made a short stop at Silver Legacy, which is also in Reno, called The Row. They're down to 1 table with a fire bet, $25 minimum. They also put in a new roll to win machine for $10. And I made a short stop in the morning at Peppermill, which has 2 tables, but only one was open in the mornings. But it was a $10 minimum, which was really great. I thought I'd give you one story. When I was at Peppermill, there was this one guy rolling, and he would moan every time he rolled dice. It was really kind of awkward at first. I'm not going to try to reproduce it because I don't think I'd do it justice, but he would moan as if he was doing something inappropriate. But the other thing that he would do, which was really funny, is he would get all 5 dice and start banging them against the back wall, which happened to be the mirror. And the stickmen were getting so annoyed because he was banging so hard, they started getting worried that he was going to crack the mirror. So they kept telling him to stop, and the boxman was watching him. They're watching him. So he would bang the dice and then pick up the dice, throw them down, and moan as he rolled, calling the word dice at the same time. I thought that was really amusing. Again, I didn't really have a great trip, didn't really win any money, but did have fun playing live craps again after a long hiatus. Thanks for everything you do. Bye-bye.
I love that, Adam.
I think I'm going to do that.
Just dice. That sounds like a hurt kind of moan. He was doing more of a
dice. Dice. That's my new thing. Remind me if I forget, okay?
That will be how you wear your wife down. Nice.
All right, we can go. Oh, dear. Oh.
There's no way I can tie that to the NFL.
Thank you.
Although I would love it if, somebody lineman lined up and just moaned the whole time while the quarterback's calling
Hey,
it's better than Omaha.
Omaha. This is the first we've heard about bumpers on the surface of roll to win tables. We were kind of joking about that.
Yeah.
But that is apparently what they're, at least some places are doing.
Yeah, you can't slide the dice with that.
Yeah, right, to prevent the dice sliding. So
how does that work though with...
I don't know, just kind of, but you can't slide them. It's going to hit something. But I can understand that it'd be a little harder to send the dice, right? Because every time it goes over a bump, it's flipping. And, maybe...
Just little dimples in the...
I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah. If anybody's able to send us a picture, I'd love to see what these bumps look like on the surface of the table. All right, so I think we mentioned this earlier before. We're actually recording on Super Bowl Sunday. Game's about 5 hours away as we record this. We want to thank a couple of people. Number one, Jim from New York started making some football bets for us, beginning with the playoffs, I believe. And he would ask us what we wanted to bet on. And I would always defer to you.
We were doing miserably.
Your picks were we didn't win a single bet. I mean, it was terrible.
It was weird.
So for the Super Bowl, Jim said, okay, don't let Dr. Mike pick, let his daughters pick.
Right.
So your daughters have picked our 4 Super Bowl picks that Jim from New York has made.
And they did it by consensus. The two of them discussed what they thought.
Okay, good. So specifically, heads or tails on the coin flip, they picked tails.
At plus 100.
That's nice. Hey, like, plus 100. Good. Yeah. Overtime or no overtime, they went with no overtime, which is probably the opposite of what you would have done, but it's smart, I think.
Because there's only been one overtime game, right?
That was at minus 1,400. They took the Rams to win outright, so we got the Rams money line.
Yeah, against my better judgment.
Well, it's the money line, minus 180.
Right.
And I saw it as high as minus 200 today.
Oh, really?
So, it looks like we got in there. And you were talking about how it's against yours. You've picked Cincinnati with the points. So we could conceivably win both those bets, right?
Right.
If the Rams win by less
and that's
than 4,
why I picked Cincinnati, because I think it's a close game.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a 1 or 2 point game. And when you're getting 4, I'm going with Cincinnati.
And then finally, the bet that the girls came up with, yellow/green/lime Gatorade to be poured on the winning coach. And we got plus 450 on that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jim.
What would you have picked? The red?
For the Gatorade?
Yeah, or orange.
I think this is a good choice.
I like yellow, the line.
Yeah. Also, thanks to listener Ryan, he entered us into his 100 square football pool. It's a pay-by-the-minute pool, so every football minute, whatever the score is, if you're on that square, you get some money, and then there are some bonuses for the end of the quarters and the end of the game. So thank you, Ryan, for putting us in that. Yeah,
we didn't get great numbers.
Well, that's what the risk you take.
Yeah.
With the
but, when it goes by minute time, it could work out okay. There could be some weird score in the middle of a quarter.
Sure, yeah. Hey, I want to give a shout out to a couple of guys, Chris Cosenza and Scott Long. They are the hosts of the Ante Up Poker Podcast. And after 16 years of doing this show, they have decided to call it quits. This is a show, it was one of the very first podcasts I ever listened to. They started it when they were reporters for the St. Petersburg Times. And it evolved into not just a popular podcast, but a company that they started on their own, the Ante Up magazine, Poker Magazine.
Right.
So 16 years, they've done a great job. It's a show for regular poker players. In other words, they do cover some of the big events and some of the stars of the game, but it's really more for the recreational player. And so it was always a lot of fun to listen to. I got to meet them a few years back when they had just started the magazine. They came out to Harrah's, Southern California, to take a look at the poker.
I remember that,
And they were very gracious, and it was great to meet them. And then later, once we started this show, there was an episode that they had where somebody wrote into them and had a question about, wild card games or home games, that are kind of crazy. And they said, we don't really, talk about games like that. We're more for the traditional games. So I called in and said, hey, I met you guys at Harrah's. I've got a new podcast. We do talk about weird home games. We had our home game poker segment. So if people want to, give a listen, and they played the call on their show. So I know we got more listeners because of that. So really appreciate that. So
and why are they stopping their podcast?
I think it's just time. They've done it for so long. And they said, they may come back with special episodes here and there. So it's just more kind of moving on.
That's good to know when you're done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We should have stopped after the first one.
Yeah, we didn't know. Well, we didn't know. And so we're going to have to keep going. Anyway, so good luck to them and thank you and congratulations on a great run. All right, Mike, Biloxi.
50-50.
50-50 now.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing. We all thought 95%. When you originally said 95%, it's like, no way is it that high.
It might be higher next week. I don't know.
All right.
It all comes down to several factors, but the biggest one is, can I deal with a trip?
Oh, physically?
Yeah. Had some issues, and, physically, can I make that long a trip?
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, folks, I'm going to put as much pressure as I can on Dr. Mike to
yes, I know you will.
forward to this, because everybody wants to see you, and I know we'd have a great time. And, we're going to have hotel rooms when we get there. You can go up and lie down.
Yeah, that's true. Nothing better than lying down in a hotel room.
So there you go. All right. Well, stay tuned, everybody. And also, we are about a month away from our 4th semi-annual You Can Bet on That poker tournament.
Yes.
We're going to hold that on Selection Sunday for March Madness. We'll have much more to talk about on the next episode, but, that's coming up.
That's coming up, yeah.
Get ready. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some recurring donations. James, the Color Up YouTube Craps channel, Kurt, Robin from Anytime Gambling, and Nathan. Thank you very much for those recurring donations. We also got a donation from Asher and Tommy. Karma donation. Our family is doing our 3rd annual Super Bowl Vegas trip. Hopefully I'll be calling in to do a trip report on a monster roll we had. Thanks for keeping us entertained. Keep doing what you do. Well, good luck. They're there right now, I'm sure, getting ready to watch the game. So hopefully they're having a good trip.
You and I cannot go to Las Vegas during the Super Bowl.
Correct. We've talked about this.
Because we like to watch the Super Bowl.
Right.
And we would not be watching it if we were in
There's
Vegas.
no way. If it was some party, some event where we're in these super comfy chairs,
right,
and we're reclined and we're watching the game, we're going to be looking behind our back. Isn't the craps table right over there?
Right.
Isn't it right there?
I don't like any distraction. I don't.
Yeah.
And I've said this before. I don't even like going to Super Bowl parties because there's inevitably people there who could care less about the game and they're just talking and having a good time. And that's fine.
That's sure.
But I like to concentrate on the game. I like to rag on the plays I don't like. And I like to turn to my daughters and tell them, how stupid a call that was, stuff like that. I need that during the Super Bowl. It's my last chance until next season.
Yeah. Well, again, when you're listening to this, the game will have already been played. We don't know what's going to happen because it's still coming up.
I do. I do.
Yeah, we'll see if you do. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonthat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review of the show. We love getting your feedback. All right, Dr. Mike.
Well, there's been a lot of talk recently. Somebody did a poll and they found out that 48% of football fans would rather have the Super Bowl on a Saturday.
Really? This is true. You're not making this up.
I'm not making this up.
Okay.
That is true.
Okay.
48% of football fans would rather have Super Bowl on Saturday. And I understand why, because if it was on Saturday, you could party all night.
And you can recover on Sunday. You
recover on Sunday. Yeah, a lot of people, especially on the East Coast.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because the game's ending like at 11 o'clock at night or something. They've been drinking the whole time and everything, and then they got to get up early and go to work Monday morning. Yeah. So, people would prefer it on Saturday. That being said, that is not my major issue with the Super Bowl.
Okay.
My major issue has always been, why is the start time so weird?
Oh, compared to all the other games.
All season long, they don't start at 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. Even Monday Night Football and stuff. Yeah. It's the only time, and I think it should start at a regular time, like 1 o'clock here on the West Coast, 4 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah.
Because they're used to that. The players are used to that. Yeah. That's a normal start time for them. They can go through their normal routine. Weird start time. And then the halftime show, I understand they want to make it a big spectacle and stuff, but normally halftime's 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And they, basically go in, maybe change, maybe, have a little talk, come out and play. And this, when they have like half hour to 45-minute halftime.
It makes a difference. It changes the game.
It changes the game. Yeah. It so much changes the game that it's not a real game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I would prefer that they have the AFC, NFC championship games, and the very next week they have the Super Bowl.
And didn't they do that one year?
They did that one year.
Yeah.
The very next week have the Super Bowl and have it at a regular time and have just a normal halftime. Before the game, have a huge show that you can televise.
Well, but that's not going to get the ratings that a halftime show would.
Maybe right before the game, though. People.
Still.
I mean, NBC's broadcast today started at 9 a.m.
Yeah, I
time.
know, yeah.
The game's at 3:30.
Yeah.
My daughter's like, what? There's a 6.5 hour pregame?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, well, the first part talks, and as it gets closer, it gets more entertaining.
Yeah.
But
okay,
it's so different than a regular game.
Yeah.
And from a betting standpoint, it's not normal.
All right.
It's hard to figure out.
I think the reason they come up with this time is they don't want it as late as a typical Sunday night, Monday night football game because of what you said. It would go so late, right?
Right.
But they still want to kind of make it prime time-ish for the East Coast.
Right.
So starting at 6:30 Eastern, that pushes it into prime time, especially on a Sunday.
Well,
so
how
I'm
about
why
starting
they do
at
it.
5 o'clock Eastern?
Yeah.
That would be a little better.
Yeah.
Because typically it's around 4 hours because of the halftime and stuff. So it ended at 9 Eastern. People would still, be able to go to bed at a normal time, even though they're wasted.
Yeah.
So
all right. Well, this is an interesting enough conversation, but it's not going to change anytime soon.
No. And I understand why the NFL does it. It's all about money. It's all about being in prime time. It's all about this huge halftime show so you can sell commercials and stuff. Yeah. And, the commercials are a big part of it and everything. But for me, as a sports fan, I don't want anything interfering with a sporting event.
Sure, I understand.
I just want the sports.
Yeah, sure.
We can do all that other stuff before or after, and, we can have a big show afterwards.
All right, Mike, let's go get ready for the game. And,
all right. Well, I hope everyone enjoys the Cincinnati Bengals win 31-30.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
Mark, that was wonderful. I had no idea you were so talented. The audience is going to love you.